This is TWiT.
Tech Break on the TWiT Network is brought to you by ACI Learning. ACI Learning's unique video platform hosts a library of engaging and convenient on-demand video learning. Or receive one-to-one support from an instructor at one of their hub locations. Maintain your company's competitive edge with ACI Learning. Visit acilearning.com to see how they can help elevate your team. Because the Super Bowl is coming up, I thought it'd be a good time to get Scott, our home theater guru, host of the fabulous Scott Wilkinson Show on YouTube, youtube.com/AVSForum. I thought it'd be good to get Scott on the show today to tell us what TVs to buy for the Super Bowl. Hello, Scott.
Hello, Leo. Hey, Micah. How you guys doing?
So good to see you.
Great to see you. Hey,
great to see you, too.
I just want to say, we were talking before the show about this HBO show called The Last of Us, which is based on a video game, very, very popular PlayStation video game. And there have been 3 episodes so far. And I've been telling people, if you're going to watch this, watch it on the best screen you've got. Ideally, an OLED 4K HDR screen, because the cinematography is mind-bogglingly good.
I've been intending to watch it.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that, Stanley Kubrick is famous for making every frame of his movies a painting. Barry Lyndon, for instance. Everything looks like a classic painting. This show is kind of like that. The lighting is stunning. They really take advantage of the 4K. So that's, if you're not a Super Bowl fan.
And HDR, I hope.
And HDR. Absolutely. There's a scene, I didn't notice it until the second episode. There's a scene where Joel goes to a ham radio operator to get some information. And, it's coming off a video game, which is also gorgeous, right? So they have to, there's a standard. And I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, this is lit like a Renaissance painting. This is stunning. And then I kind of started paying attention, and the whole thing is shot. It's gorgeous. In any event, 2 reasons you might want to get a nice new TV. That's one.
Indeed.
And then the Super Bowl is the other.
The Super Bowl is the other one.
Is this a good time to buy a new TV?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You're going to get the best prices of the yearly cycle of TVs coming and going. In many cases, it's as good as Black Friday. In some cases, it's even a little better. But you have to keep in mind that TV margins, the profit that retailers make selling TVs are razor thin already. So, are you going to get much discount? Yes, because they're trying to get rid of them for the next year's models. I sent you actually a PDF with a list. I don't know if you got that or not.
Oh, I'll check. Good.
But you can put it up in the show notes if you want.
Okay.
I listed a number of TV sales discounts that I found, some of which are in the 20 to 30% range, some in the 30 to 40% range, a few that are even over 40%.
That's a big discount.
It is. It really is.
Now, we've said this before, but one of the reasons is because this is last year's model, right? They're going to have new
These
models.
These are all 2022s.
Yeah.
And in some cases,
a bad
2021s.
Oh.
No, not a bad thing at all. Not a bad thing at all. Generally speaking, TV evolution is just that, evolution, not revolution. Unlike in 2022 at CES, I told you about the QD OLED. That was the first big improvement in display technology in many years.
Can we buy those now?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And in fact, they're on sale.
Okay. As with any new thing, they're going to be more expensive than the old thing.
Right.
Correct. And next year, there will be the second generation.
Yeah.
Or rather, this year.
Yeah.
But for example, on Amazon, the Samsung 65-inch S95B, which is their QD OLED, their larger QD OLED, is selling for $17.98, down from $29.98.
Wow.
That's a 40% drop. So that's pretty significant if you ask me.
You do this every year. This is a spreadsheet. Let me pull it up so I can show everybody.
Exactly.
You take this seriously. Here's the spreadsheet.
I do.
And green means 40% or higher. So that is Best Buy and Amazon have those massive discounts.
Yep.
Now, some people would prefer to buy at Best Buy because they can pick it up.
Right.
Is it okay to ship a fancy TV like that?
I personally feel the same as those other folks that say I'd rather pick up the TV and bring it home, because yes, shipping I'm sure shipping for the most part is fine, but this is a big flat piece of glass. 65 inches.
Good way to put it. Yeah.
And it's there are bound to be some cases where it's going to get broken.
I don't know if they still offer this. I bought the last couple of TVs on Amazon, and they offered something called white glove service, where they would come, they would unbox it, they would set it up, and I always paid for that. Well, yeah, you're looking at me bad, but because then, if there's anything wrong with it, they're still there,
right?
And I can say to them, take it back,
right? Right.
I mean,
exactly so.
I mean, I could obviously unbox it and all that. The other thing is, I don't want the box. So,
you don't want the box.
They take the box back too.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I am no longer at an age when I can pull out a 65-inch TV out of a box by myself.
Oh, I could. I'm massively strong.
You're massively
I've been doing
strong.
Ant's push-ups. That's why Ant.
Okay, well, there you go.
He says, I don't need no guys in here to lift my TV. I can lift it with one finger. No, it's true. It's really nice to have those guys do it. And if they break it, they bought it. I don't have to worry.
It's on them, man. Yeah, exactly right.
So,
exactly
but
right.
I have had good experiences. Both times the TV was fine, set up fine, but I agree with you. It's a little scary anyway, if not nothing else.
It is a little scary. I like to pick it up myself.
What do you think the best deal? I'm seeing a 77-inch OLED from LG, which is the one we like, right?
LG OLEDs are great, but I think you're probably looking at, it's not OLED, it's QNED.
QNED.
Oh no, there is a 77 OLED.
$2,500. Now, if you're willing to go with the QNED,
what does N stand for? Is that nano?
The N stands for nanotube. It's basically a technology that LG developed that uses nanoparticles to absorb certain frequencies of light so that you get a purer red, green, and blue.
But it's still LCD.
Correct.
So this is the important thing to understand about any flat screen.
Okay.
There's really only two technologies now that plasma's gone. One is LCD,
correct,
and one is OLED. OLED
correct.
is direct view.
Correct.
LCD has a backlight with a shutter, and the backlight is what they talk about with the QNED and the LED and all that stuff. It's just different kinds of backlights, right?
Correct. LCD TV is called a transmissive display because light is passing through little tiny shutters. OLED or OLED is called an emissive display because the little pixels are emitting light directly.
Yeah.
So yes, the 77-inch OLED, the 77C2.
That's the one I would get, I think. Yes,
I agree with you. $2,500 down from $3,500, almost 30% off.
It's twice as much as a QNED, but it's a better screen, I think.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That OLED is the best display technology in my opinion. The only thing it doesn't have that LCD has over it is brightness.
Right.
So if you need something really bright in a really bright room, then an one of the LCD technologies, QLED, QNED, blah blah blah, will serve you well. But when you get off axis, and this is important for a Super Bowl application in particular, because you'll have a lot of people around, right, for presumably a party, and if they're off axis, the TV doesn't look as good.
Yeah.
Whereas with OLED, you can be anywhere, and the picture looks just as good.
Of course, if you have a 77-inch TV, you can get a lot of people right in front of it. I mean, that's true. It's a big enough TV.
Yep.
But that's a good point.
Is a projector a good idea around this time?
Very glad you asked that, Micah.
It's like I had it planned, but I didn't.
Now, there's a new type of a projector, generally speaking, you want in a dark room. But there's a new type of projector, not so new, but it's gaining a lot of popularity, called ultra short throw, or UST. And that is meant to be a replacement for a flat panel TV. And so you put this projector on a tabletop, a credenza or something very near the wall, and it shoots up at a steep angle, the light, and fills a really big screen. Now, on the last page of this spreadsheet that I have sent you,
I was only looking at the first page.
oh no, there.
Oh, it goes on and on.
I sent you a bunch of information.
Scott, you do this every year. I can't. This must take you days to compile.
Yeah, it's. I know where to look.
Oh, you do. So this is the last page.
The last page
Here's
is
an ultra short throw. A bunch of ultra short throw projectors from BenQ,
That's right.
Epson, and Hisense, and 4Movie. Which brand do you like?
Well, I
have a Hisense, which I really like.
which is really good.
Yeah.
Hisense is well regarded in the UST projector market.
You've seen our Hisense, haven't you, Micah? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
It's like 100 inches. It's big.
Yeah, exactly. Now, at the most recent UST projector shootout done by Projector Central, the BenQ V7050i won for best single laser. Now, all of these UST projectors use lasers as their light source. And some of them use a single laser that then gets split into red, green, and blue. The laser is blue, and then it goes through a color wheel or some other thing to get red and green out of it. So a single laser projector, which is less expensive, the BenQ won the top prize for single laser. The 4Movie theater, which I had never heard of before,
Me neither. Yeah.
shootout,
Yeah.
that won the triple laser.
Is that red, green, and blue, the three lasers?
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
So they don't need
Exactly
the wheel.
right.
They have.
Correct.
Weirdly enough, Hisense, I think, is two lasers.
Two lasers, correct. Red and blue, and then they derive green out of that.
Okay. But three would be better?
Yes, absolutely. Three distinct, discrete red, green, and blue lasers is the best.
And
no
the
question
most
about it.
expensive.
And the most expensive, exactly.
But I have to say,
so.
the prices have dropped dramatically. This Hisense was $10,000 4 or 5 years ago.
Exactly, and now look at it. We're looking at $2,000 to $3,000 or $4,000.
You do need a screen. Does it include these
Correct.
always? Yeah, it says screen included on these. Sometimes.
In some of them, very
all
few
of
of them actually.
Oh.
A few of the Hisenses.
That's how they
you
get the
can
price down.
Exactly, and with a few of the Hisenses, it includes a screen.
You need a special screen. You can't
correct.
do ultra short throw with a normal screen or against the
Or
wall.
on the wall. Some
you need
people
a
go,
special
I'll just
screen with Fresnel lenses that takes the thing coming in at an angle and bends it so
bounces
it comes
it back out.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And Epson will sell you one, a 100-inch screen for $2,000.
Oh, okay. So consider that. Yes.
Or a 120-inch screen for $3,000.
I will add a caveat about these projectors because they're ultra short throw. It's tricky to avoid. What do they call that when the perspective you get keystoning? It's tricky.
Well,
you have to very carefully adjust both the screen. You can't move the projector or you're going to have problems. So
That's true.
It's very
now they are.
finicky.
It's a little finicky. They are designed with that in mind. The
Well, mine
designers
isn't.
know that that's going to happen.
Mine isn't. I have to adjust it all the time. So
Oh,
there's
really?
I guess it's an older one. There's a button you push and it says, because I know on regular projectors, you could say, unkeystone that and it'll fix it.
Right. Right.
But on the short throw, I mean, I had to, you have to, and the screen we had little cranks that you would adjust to get the
Right.
screen
Whoa, so
torqued. And that's a lot of work to get it set
That's
up.
an older system.
Okay, they've gotten better.
They've improved it
Oh,
since
good.
then.
All right.
But you're right. You're right. It is a consideration. And
It seemed to
doesn't
me
get-
more finicky than a normal projector. The short throws
Yeah.
are a little tricky. Yeah. Okay.
It is. I agree. And it doesn't get as bright as a flat panel.
Yeah,
as
but
a
we're
true
fine.
flat
We have it in our great room. And we're going to watch the Super Bowl on it. We're going to have people over and watch the Super Bowl on it. And, that means there's daylight in there and stuff, but it's fine. I admit when I want to watch a great show like The Last of Us in HDR, I'll be tempted with the Super Bowl because the Super Bowl is going to be broadcast on Fox. Not broadcast. I shouldn't say that. It will be streamed on Fox in
yes.
4K HDR. And so I have
Correct.
YouTube TV. I could watch the 4K HDR version. It's upscaled, but still, it looks very
I'm
good.
sure it looks great.
And
but
you
it
don't
won't
see
look as
that on the projector. You just
Correct.
don't see that. Yeah.
correct. Now, these projectors that I've listed here all do HDR to one degree or another. Projectors can't do it as well as flat panels because they don't get as bright. And the 4-movie theater, as it's called, is the only one that I know of that's currently available that does Dolby Vision HDR. So that, to me, is a kind of a big deal. There are a couple of others that have Dolby Vision in beta, but they're not implemented yet.
Okay. Well, I'm going to put this 4-page spreadsheet, this amazing document, up on our show notes. We'll put a link to that, right, John Ashley? We'll be able to get a link to that. So it's already there?
It's already there. I'll quickly tell you that the other pages, I just did a survey of LG, Samsung, and Sony on their own websites of what their TVs are selling for now versus the list price, MSRP, and including, in the case of LG and Samsung, some of their UST projectors, because LG and Samsung both do UST projectors. The Samsungs, they're only 14% off or 7% off. There's a couple of LGs that are reasonable, good discounts. So
if I were going to be buying one of these for you, Scott,
yes,
and I'm writing the check, which one would you pick?
I would pick a Samsung. Well, actually, no, I wouldn't pick a Samsung QOLED because it doesn't do Dolby Vision. Samsung does not do Dolby Vision, period.
That's one of the HDR technologies. There are
correct.
3 or maybe
I would
4.
probably, if you were going to buy me one of these, I'd probably go for the 77C2 OLED from LG.
Yep. Boy, I'm so happy. My LG OLED is several years old. You calibrated it back in the day, so it's 5 or 6 years old, maybe more. Yeah. And it's held up beautifully. And like I said, it looks great. I watched many of the playoff games in 4K HDR. And even though it's upscaled to 1080p, it really looks great. And Rihanna will be in 4K as well. So that's
yes. And of course, I will be recording the Super Bowl.
And watching the Puppy Bowl. I know.
And watching the Puppy Bowl. And then when I watch the Super Bowl, I'm going to fast forward through the game. Because I couldn't care about the game any less than I do.
I have to watch the game.
Why?
Because my mom's team is playing.
KC.
Yeah.
KC.
We're from
okay. Well, there is family loyalty then. Yeah. But I'm just going to watch the commercials and the halftime show.
Nice.
That's all I care about.
Nice.
Otherwise, it's Puppy Bowl for me.
I think the commercials. I'll be interested. I think the commercials have gone downhill in the last few years.
I agree.
They might very well. And if Pepsi and, as you said before, Pepsi and who else were not...
Budweiser's gone.
Budweiser's not even going to be on the commercials.
I used to love those. Maybe they will buy those commercials. I don't know if the Twitter... Pepsi's just not buying the halftime. I don't know if the Twitter takeover is exclusive of the Super Bowl.
Right.
But those remember the Clydesdale commercials?
Oh, yeah. Those were great.
The dog would run out. Those are tear-jerkers. I love those. So we'll see. I mean, I think a lot of companies are not spending the ad money that they used to.
Sorry, a really good question in the chat that maybe you addressed, but is there a way to watch the game at anything higher than 30 frames per second? Because Joe's saying, I've got cable and I've got an OTA antenna, but I can't get higher than 30 frames per second.
Not OTA, you can't.
No.
Over the air.
Yes, thank you.
If you want higher quality, you'd have to streaming.
Now, the question, Matt, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to. Is Fox going to be streaming it at 60?
I am looking at an article now from Consumer Reports, how to watch the Super Bowl in 4K.
Yeah.
And I don't see the frame rate, which tells me it's probably 30.
It's probably 30.
30 is a traditional TV frame rate. We've all gotten used to 60 frames progressive because 30 is often interlaced. So now at least it's progressive. 30 progressive's better than 30 interlaced. 60 progressive would be even better. And
better.
Many games are 120 frames per second, and that's
you mean video games?
Yeah, video games, not football games. Yeah. So
and variable frame rate in video games too, which is really nice.
Yeah. They don't say what I'm looking at the article, and I don't see the.
That's interesting.
Some of the cameras shoot at higher frame rates.
That does make a difference in how it looks.
They don't absolutely, and it's important. High frame rate is a whole area of discussion we could go into, but it's really good for sports because things are moving fast. You know, that ball is flying through the air, and people are running around, and at 30 or 20, at 30 frames per second, there's some motion blur.
Consumer Reports quotes Michael Davies, who is a senior vice president of field operations at Fox Sports.
Yeah.
He says because of bandwidth constraints, and I think they don't say this, but truck constraints.
Yes.
They don't.
Also,
they aren't going to shoot it in 4K. They'll shoot it in HD.
What does truck constraint mean? You mean
they have to have at these stadiums in Glendale, for instance, they don't have a control room, so they bring out a big trailer truck,
a semi-truck, or true semi-truck,
yes,
more
huge.
than one typically.
Yeah. With the switchers in it, that's where the directors sit, and all those people,
and the audio mixers and everybody. Yeah,
and there are only a handful of 4K capable trucks. Most of these, so I think we're getting there.
Okay,
we're getting there. Also, Davies says because the show is so large with more than 100 camera sources, some of them are shooting in higher frame rates. But what they do
for slow-mo for
exactly. So they use 1080p. As the standard. Shooting in both 4K and a high frame rates will require a lot of bandwidth.
Yep.
For sports, high frame rates, which can reduce blurring during fast-moving action, as you said, and special effects are very important. But I don't understand what he means here when he says, so shooting in HD and then upscaling is a good compromise. I don't know if they're shooting in high frame rate. He says Fox will have some 4K, even a few 8K cameras shooting, but they'll be used so that they can pan within the frame to zoom in at high. And those are high frame rate. He says this allows us to digitally zoom. This is from Consumer Reports again. To digitally zoom the picture for shots of whether a foot was in or out or whether a ball was caught. So when you see those instant replays and they can really zoom in, that's because they're shooting them at higher frame rates and higher resolution.
And so it's a digital zoom, which you normally want to avoid.
Yeah.
But in this case, since they're only broadcast, whether taking a 1080p ultimately and then up converting that for broadcast, they can digitally zoom in and not lose anything.
There is the upper sky cam is 4K.
Oh.
I guess they have an upper and a lower sky cam now.
Well, some of us.
And there, the pylon cameras they put at the end zone. There's these orange pylons on each end of the end zone.
Yeah.
So there's 4 of them total. Those contain 180-degree field of view 4K cameras.
Wow.
And we've seen these pylon shots. Sometimes it's really important to determine whether something was a touchdown or not.
Can you imagine the file sizes of
and they're wireless. They have to stream it, which is why you never see the pylon camera live. They
don't use it as part of the shot.
Yeah, it's shooting. And then they go, quick. Look at that. Did you see how my frame rate stopped there? Quick. Let's get that in, and then they can show it in instant replay.
Right.
So they're shooting it in an HDR format called HLG.
Correct, which is the standard for live broadcast.
And then they'll turn it into HDR10.
Right.
Because most TVs and streamers... Dolby Vision would be preferable, but a lot of them don't support, including...
Don't support it.
I think, was it Samsung that just refused to support it?
Samsung refuses to support Dolby Vision.
So HDR10...
Yeah, they don't want to pay the licensing fee. Exactly, yeah.
And if you have the Fox Sports app or the Fox Now app, it's also an HDR10.
Mm-hmm.
Over the air, unlikely.
Unlikely.
Yeah.
Although, ATSC 3.0, the new over-the-air standard, is gaining... in market share. There's more markets now that have it, and it can do 4K and HDR of one sort or another. So we may very well see this over the air in the next year or two.
Yeah. Mr. Scott Wilkinson is the greatest. He is our home theater geek. We're glad we could get you on today for the Super Bowl next week. You could watch his show at on YouTube, the AVSForum podcast at youtube.com/AVSForum. Where are you going to put this spreadsheet up in an article somewhere, or is it just for us?
It's at the moment it's just for you. I'm thinking about putting it up on AVSForum too, but I haven't actually made that arrangement yet. It's really for you, man.
God bless you. 5 pages. I undercounted. 5 pages. It's a spreadsheet that goes on and on and on.
I got carried away. What can I tell you?
No, I'm not complaining. I'm praising.
Yeah.
I am here to praise you. Color coded for the best discounts. Green is the highest. Yellow, then orange.
Yep.
And you could choose by manufacturer, and retailer, and price.
A tiny TV in my living room, so I'm going to have to hit this list.
You should have a nice TV.
You should have a nice TV, Micah. Absolutely.
When you say tiny, is it like this big?
It's just a little bit bigger than this.
This is 42, I think. Yeah.
I didn't even include, by the way, I didn't even include 42s or 48s in this list because the Super Bowl, you want a big TV. Also, very important to note, these TVs, you can get a 55, 65, 75-inch TV for well under $1,000, but it's not going to be very good. I want you to buy, if you're going to spend the money, spend a little more money, get a good TV that's going to last you a while and look really good on all kinds of content. And that's why I focused on not the super cheapest you can get.
Yeah,
I agree. Good. And by the way, I think that's why shows like The Last of Us now are starting to look better and better because cinematographers and producers and directors realize, hey, there's people out there with good TVs. We can make it look as good, if not better, than in the movie theater.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you for the recommendation for that show. I'm going to start watching.
It's a little violent, Scott.
Oh, just a word. Okay,
there's zombies.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good warning.
It's not the puppy bowl.
I'm not in. It's not the puppy bowl. No.
Scott Wilkinson, thank you, Scott. Got to get that laugh out of him at least once before we go.
All right,
Thank you, Scott.